Hi guys, welcome back to this channel. My name is Neel, and one thing you should know about me is that I like to work on my personal development. And along my journey to become a better and happier person, I want to help you and to inspire you to do the same. Every week I'm putting out a video related to a person's well-being, and today's topic is going to be about the Kaizen principle. And Kaizen, the word, actually consists out of two different words. Kai, which means change, and Zen, which means good. These words are Japanese words, and the philosophy behind the Kaizen principle has been thought out of in Japan in the late 40s after the World War II. So Japan used to be in a financial crisis, and some business people came up with an idea to reduce waste and to bring back Japan to be financially strong again. And these ideas you can also use for your personal well-being. So the idea is to make small improvements in your daily life that will eventually add up to each other. During the process you are not that aware of all the changes you're making, but small changes adding up to each other will make a huge impact in the end, especially if you look back at what you've been doing for a past certain time. So it doesn't mean you don't need discipline to do that, because being consistent in making small changes and small improvements over a certain amount of time, over a long time period, of course requires a certain amount of discipline. So now you know what Kaizen is all about, you know about the theory, but how do we implement it in our personal life? So one approach I found online is from a guy called the Habit Guys channel. And what he was talking about is to make a list as long as possible of any improvements you would like to make in your daily life, or in your personal life, I have to say. Try to think as broadly as possible without any restrictions in your mind. The idea or the goal would be to make a list as long as possible. So if you have been doing that, it's time to cluster these improvements, because some improvements might be related to each other. So for example, if I want to make more time for myself, more free time for myself, and I also want to pick up an old passion of mine, which is playing the piano, then my goal to play piano, or the improvement I want to make, which is playing the piano more often, would also result in making more time for myself. And in this way we are creating this idea of leverage. If you have been clustering these improvements, you still will have a long list, but you already have a better idea of which improvements in your life you would like to make. The next step is going to be a little bit harder for some, because we have to choose one particular thing to focus on. Focus has been quite a hard thing for me to do, because there are ideas that come along the way that inspire me at a certain moment, and I really want to invest a lot of time in it, but the result is that some other things I'm trying to improve or I'm working on at the moment will be put back to the background, and I'm not investing as much time in these parts as I would like to. So being able to focus on one particular thing, as the Kaizen masters, and they are calling them Zenkais, it's a pretty cool name actually, they are stating that you should focus on mainly one thing and one thing only, and get that done until you are able to go to the next improvement you would like to make. The following analogy might actually help you with it. So imagine, for example, you're a gardener and you're having access to some seeds which will grow into trees. You're having a water can and you are having a tap with dripping water. So it's not a tap that's flowing water, you got a certain amount of water in a certain amount of time. If you're planting these seeds and you are watering them to make them grow, you have to divide the water over all of the seeds you are trying to grow. At a certain moment, when the seeds are growing and the plants are becoming trees, every individual plant or tree needs extra water. But if your tap is not streaming enough water at a certain time, you eventually have to choose a certain tree to mainly focus on if you want it to be healthy and if you want it to grow properly. The downside of it is that you will have to leave some trees behind, care a little less about it, or eventually even let it die to make one tree grow properly. And all of the trees you can't care for anymore are a waste of energy, a waste of water, etc., etc. And that's why it's important to be mainly focusing on one thing or a few things you would like to change to make these changes happen. So the idea is to mainly focus on a certain amount of things in a certain amount of time. And if, for example, this tree is able to attract water from the ground itself and to grow the fruits itself, you can go on to the next thing, which will require your full focus as well. Until this moment, I'm pretty happy with the results, and I hope you will be happy with your results as well. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe, share this video with something you think it's interesting for or it's valuable for. Next week I'm going to talk about the Odyssey plan, which is going to be a small thought exercise which might open some interesting realizations. So stay tuned for that video. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Until the next one, guys.